pretty late, so I'm not expecting anybody to really go on and watch. So I was doing some research because I know there was a couple of people that had gotten into a really bad accident that had killed 3 spectators at Nazareth Hype Mike, and one that 2019 was Mario Andretti at abandoned Nazareth Speedway. It's not a... I was spending the night chauffeur him to the first track he ever called Nazareth Speedway. I planned to walk around the now defunct 1 to 1/8 mile racetrack and reminisce about the Italian immigrants, the spacious beginnings, the place where the legend began, the original Nazareth Speedway, the half-mile dirt track, was the first place Andretti ever heard cars racing in America. The siren song that would eventually lead him down the path to a storied career. After that, we'd pedal around the rest of Nazareth while he awakened memories of the place he and his family have lived for more than 60 years. So that part didn't really, catch my eye. So I kept reading. And the further down I went, it got interesting. With some people, you have nightmares about spending half a day with them for fear of awkward silences. With Mario Andretti, you don't worry about that. Ask a question and he could talk for an hour. No, with Mario Andretti, the real nightmare is driving a car with him as a passenger. Tap the brake too late, forget to signal, God forbid my dream come true, and I hit something. He wouldn't call out a minor mistake. I know that, he's too kind, but he'd know, and I'd know he'd know. And that would be enough to rattle me. Fortunately, I learned later that morning, among Andretti's many skills is the ability to sense dread in those around him. As we leave his house, Andretti asked me a seemingly unconscious question. Do you know where you're going? Yeah, went there this morning, I say. We climb into my rented Hyundai Elantra, and I take a deep breath and start the car. Just as I am about to throw it in reverse, Andretti looks at me and says 4 nicest words I could hear in that moment. Why don't I drive? Mario Andretti's reoccurring nightmare. Andretti is cut from different cloth than the rest of us. A 79-year-old adrenaline junkie who still drives an IndyCar 2-seater at near 200 miles per hour before every race. He doesn't fear the same things we fear, not even death. While standing in the middle of Nazareth Speedway, he recounts the story of the crash that nearly killed his twin brother, Aldo. This next paragraph is what caught my attention. So, my one friend Justin had mentioned about there being a similarity of the track to the track that was in Cars. No way. So, I'm starting to think of which track he's talking about. So it used to be a dirt track. There's only one track in Cars that's still, till this day, probably a dirt track. I have fucking goosebumps right now. I'm shaking. I'm starting to, piece this together in my head, and I'm like, there's no fucking way. So here we go. It happened during the final race of the 1959 season at a place called Hatfield Speedway, about an hour south of Nazareth. Racing in a qualifying heat, Aldo put the right front tire into the wall, and the now famous Hudson Hornet that he and Andretti had built collapsed and split open Aldo's helmet. He was unconscious. Emergency responders rushed him to the hospital, where he remained. It's crazy to had a resemblance, and it intrigued me. I did not continue to read. The second I seen it, I'm like, all right, I have to go live with this. I have to tell everybody what I just found out. I grew up watching Cars, so to hear that is crazy. Like, I'm about speechless. So I could go on with the article, but the article is really long. Like, really wrong. So, I will say this. Hold on. Give me a second. Dude. Oh my god. I'm finding out so much about this. This is why we need to start doing research. So, to all my friends that are subscribed, we need to start doing research before we go somewhere, because I just found something out. To ensure we'll be able to get in, I took a trip to the track before meeting Andretti. There is, in fact, a gap in a fence at gate 3 that is 5 feet tall and 3 feet wide, plenty big enough to squeeze through if we must. But my relief at this discovery is replaced by regret at what the speedway reveals. Dilapidated doesn't begin to describe Nazareth Speedway. I can hardly tell a racing cathedral. Sorry, it's a really big word. Used to occupy this vacant lot. Beyond a giant puddle in the middle of what I believe is the main entrance road. The landscape consists of nothing more than weeds. Not wrong. Some the size of a tree. Not wrong there. As far as the eye can see. Talk about rhyming. I shouldn't have been caught off guard by what I saw. I had been warned when I pitched the idea of taking Andretti to the track. His longtime PR representative, Patty Raid, said Nazareth Speedway doesn't exist. I guess the gates are still there, but it's like an abandoned field. They are not wrong. It is definitely exactly what they said. It is. It's crazy to think that I've been there. And then reading this, it's like I'm reliving the whole situation from my own room. So the first night that we went, I'm going to sit my phone down so I can prop myself up. So the first night that we went, we obviously couldn't climb the fence. I can't because of my knee. We had no other way of getting in. So we knew that there was a gap in the fence up at gate 3. So that is where we went in at the first night. The first night we went in and we were all confused. Like, why is there just a random gap in the fence? Why is it not fully closed off? And you would think something like that, you would expect it to be closed off, so no trespassers or people or anything get in there. So, and it's crazy, because the whole thing is fenced off, other than that one spot. So the crazy thing that we're dealing with here is any noises that we ever hear at night while on that track could be anything. That Saturday, we had went again, and thinking of it this way, we made our own entrance, got in, explored the buildings a little bit, and then somehow what it looked to be was, I would say it was infield, but we were in literally a field. Like, it literally felt like we walked through an entire field to get to the other side of the track, which was crazy. So, piecing this together in my head now, I'm realizing that anything could be in there. There could be deer, raccoons, squirrels, skunks, anything possible. There could be anything moving around in there. But here's the thing. What we didn't know was there was already a fence that had a hole made in it to literally get in. Which explains how a lot of the people get in during the day. Because they can park in the Dollar Tree or Dollar General parking lot and walk up a path that leads right to the fence. So there's so many things that could be in there. And we don't know it. But it's crazy. Because we know there's accidents that have happened there that have killed 3 spectators. I don't know, I would have to talk to Justin again, but I'm not 100% sure that any drivers have died on that track, judging by what I just read. Although Mario Andretti's twin brother, I would assume, almost did. So, I wonder, this is where I'm going to start again. I wonder if Andretti has seen it and what he'll say when he sees it. I'll find out soon enough. One smile on someone's face puts 2 on mine. It seems very paradoxical that something as disfigured as the Speedway resides so close to Villa, Montana, the gorgeous home of Mario Andretti. No way. Okay, now I'm kind of curious to know how close. So reading that, I'm kind of curious to know how close. And if we'd encounter anybody if it would be Andretti. My aunt would be so like ecstatic if I caught that on video. So I'm gonna try and figure out how to explain this. So there's houses right off the road, but right by Gate 4. We were standing right at Gate 4 when we were at the... Oh my god. So much of this is starting to hit me and make sense. So there's houses right there next to where you would go into Gate 4. Which Gate 4 takes you into the pits. We were in the pits. Because the pits would be the garages. Technically. Back then, the pits weren't inside the track. The infield wasn't the pits. The pits was always on the outside of the track itself. Okay, that's starting to make sense now. So, there's houses. And strange enough, so I don't know if it's people messing with us, but in the very last garage that we went into this one room, and it was the room that I got my roadmap book from. And I believe it was also where I got... Oh no, that was the bigger garage. That kind of looked like a garage / hangout office area type deal. So the crazy thing is, in one of the rooms, kind of looked like a little condo studio type place. It had a couple of rooms above the garage. So, in one of the rooms, there was a saying spray painted on the wall. And I would think exactly what was, and it's so weird talking about this while I'm sitting here with Hype Mike pulled up on my TV. I've watched so much Hype Mike, and I believe some things of this can be real, but can also be fake. But they've explained that usually when you see demonic drawings, like of pentagrams, or anything that kind of gives you like a spook, it said something about I think it says something about if you turn your light off, you let it in. Something like that. The spray paint was so messed up, like it was almost like somebody spray painted it, and it was still wet and rubbed up against it, and part of it got wiped away. But one of our friends made it out and pieced together what it said. And it was crazy. And then we left that room, and one of my friends seen something, or either seen something or felt something. And it was crazy. And it was weird because the second we read that, and then left the room, all our flashlights were out of that room. I have goosebumps talking about it. It was fucking sketchy. It was creepy. Like, I wanted to get the fuck out of there. That's how creepy it was. So we all agreed, let's get the fuck out of here. Let's get out of this building, and we'll go explore the last garage that we had to do. And some crazy things happened while we were there. Dylan seen some things while we were there as well. We went to walk up to this one building, and he went to go into it. Even though the front half of it, where the sliding windows would have been, was wide open, crazy thing is, he walked up and it was cracked open, which is, you would think is a little weird. He walked up to it and he said there was something standing right there in front of him. Like, made contact with it face to face. And it freaked him out and he backed up. So I asked Jaden to take his flashlight and walk around the front and point towards the door. It was gone. Kind of like it was almost like never there. Some of us in the group, not me, because I could feel the energy. The energy was not normal energy. It was not no normal abandoned place. There was something off that Saturday that nobody could figure out, and there was something off about that whole night, catching so much on video and feeling so much, and the energy just, it wasn't the same as the first night that we were there. But it's crazy, because the first night we were there, and I don't know if I got the chance to talk to you guys about it, the first night we were there, we had just finished the video, and we were touching base on how we felt about it, like what we enjoyed the most about it, and also what creeped us out the most about it. The most that creeped me out was that abandoned building in the middle of the track. What was crazy was we were standing there outside of the track. We were literally on the main road that takes you to the tunnel and down to the ticket booth. And yeah, you're gonna hear it in my voice. It's crazy. We were standing on that road that we walked up onto, and before I could finish what I was saying, because Tori had mentioned about once I get a car, we can do this a little bit more, like if somebody can't, it'll make things easier. And before I got the chance to finish my response, we started to hear sirens. And it still follows me. Like, it's crazy that I'm reading this because I didn't have an exact dream like this last night, but I had a nightmare last night that I was in the back seat with I don't know exactly who, but I was in the back seat, and I had turned around, and there was a cop behind us. And out of nowhere, we were on the opposite side of the road, and a car was coming, and we spun around him, and almost crashed, and it scared the shit out of me. I don't know what it was related to. I haven't told anybody. So you guys can all feel special that I'm telling the whole world before telling any of my family, any of my friends, you name it. I don't know what the relation of it was, and it scared me bad, to the point where I woke up and I couldn't fall back to sleep for a little bit. It's crazy watching this or reading this to know so crazy thing. Knowing that the Andrettis own Nazareth Speedway, they were the last, I think, to buy it and not do anything with it. They just own the land. Crazy thing is Justin had mentioned about reaching out to them somehow. And then I had mentioned it to my aunt. And my aunt looked at me and she's like, try and get in touch with your uncle. Your uncle did his driveway for him. I'm like, no freaking way. And I thought about it and I pondered and I'm like, I still don't know if I'd be able to get in contact with him. But reading this, it seems like he's got a bad past with it. And I don't think I'd want to drag him back out onto the track. Like, this is crazy. Hold on. Yes?
Can I come in?
No?
I need to get something to you.
If it's what you just played, no.
It's not that.
Is it my speaker?
No.
Then what is it?
I'll show you.
Stinky, I'm in the middle of a live. Come back in a little bit. Sorry. So, I'm going to try and see if I can figure out how to reach out to them, but it's crazy. I will finish reading up on this more tomorrow because I'm actually getting tired. And it's kind of strange. Like, and I'm doing this live so late at night. Like, I was laying here watching Hype Mike. I was gonna try and fall asleep. And then I, like, thought of this. So, I'm gonna touch base tomorrow at the part of, we'll start a little sooner than that. We'll start at the different side of Mario Andretti tomorrow morning when I get up. It's pretty interesting. So hopefully we can go from there. I'm hoping to be up probably about 10ish. On that note, I will catch you guys later. Apologies for this being so late and long.
I found a speaker now.
I'm gonna peace out. Bye.